All right, hey everyone. So my name's Holly Hines. I work at the rack here at the Dal AC. My main purpose here is to be the shepherd for the sheep. So what I'm going to do today is show you guys how to do your own fecal egg counts. It's a really simple procedure. I mean, if I could do it and learn how to do it, anybody can learn how to do it. Learn from the best, and I've been doing it ever since, so shout out to that person, they know who they are. And so, yeah, it's really simple. I'm doing my own recording, so it may be a little bit awkward. But what we're gonna start off with, you can do your own fecal egg counts by using a salt solution. You can use sugar also, but I was taught on a salt solution. So that is what we're gonna use today. And basically what you need to have is, I am a cheap sheep farmer, so this is how I measure out my solution. You also need your fecal sample. I use these nice hard bottom plastic cups that I wash out every time. You need a scale, your solution, which I'll show you how to make. You need these little slides called a McMaster slide. I ran a little bit of water through them, so they're a little bit wet right now, but what this slide is it actually has 2 chambers in it, and that's how we're actually going to count the eggs. So as you can see, the chambers are like that, and they have a grid, which you count in. And also I have just a little plastic pipette, which I just cut the tip of so I can actually get my sample into the slide. All right, so what I'm going to show you first, my master filming skills here. What we're going to do is just tear a plastic, again, I just use a plastic ice cream container. And we like to measure out 400 grams of salt to a liter of water. It doesn't have to be exact. What we're making is a super saturated salt solution. So anywhere near close is good. So I'm not going to try to be perfect, but that's good enough. And again, a liter of water. Again, it doesn't have to be bang on, but as long as it's close. And what you want to see when you stir it up is that there's a little bit of salt left in the bottom of the container. So it's going to dissolve, but it's not going to dissolve all the way. And the purpose of this is to actually bring those eggs up to the surface so you can actually count them, which also brings the problem of, I'll show you in a bit, but when you're taking your sample, to not take it from the very top of your cup, especially if it's been sitting there for a bit, just because you're going to suck all the eggs up off the top of your solution and your count isn't going to be correct. So I'll sit you guys back up there. So what I do is I'll just put my cup on here, my sample cup. I'm going to tear that. So that's 0. So what I did today, this morning, I went out and I collected my samples. I'm just doing random samples. I usually do about once every 2 weeks. Go out and check my flock. Unless I have a problem, say she's skinny or she's got a dirty bum, she's not gaining weight, I'll try to get a sample from her, but usually I just do random samples. So the way you take fecal samples is you can actually take them fresh off the ground. You don't want to take samples that are actually been sitting on the ground for a while. Eggs have already been hatched. Sometimes you get mite eggs on there and it won't give you a proper sample. So you either want to take it straight from the rectum or straight off the ground after they have just deposited it. You need at least, if you can, 3 grams is the ideal sample. But if you're having trouble, say if you have a ewe that's really sick and you really want to get a fecal egg count on her, you go in manually, which basically, as you guys can think of, is just using your finger, you lube it up, and you just kind of do a swipe in a rectum and kind of pull. And hopefully you're going to get enough manure or feces, but what you're looking for is 3 grams is ideal. If you can get 1 or 2 grams, that is also, you can also use that, but 3 is your best. And saying that if you only get 2 grams of a sample or only get 1 gram of the sample, you're going to drop your solution that you add to it to dissolve it. I will talk about that in a bit. But right now, your ratio is going to be 3 grams of manure or poop. I use poop, I'm not that scientific. Poop is easier to say for me. And then you're going to go try to add 3 grams to that sample and get it up to close as 3 as you possibly can, which is takes a knack. It's not that easy to do. And now under, over again, So you set that sample. Also, when you collect samples from the field, you want to make sure that you, if you're not going to go right back right away and put them in the fridge, I have a cooler right here with my great phone stand, and also just an ice pack in there. So when I collected them, I put them right in there because if you leave them to get warm, they will actually, the eggs will start to hatch and you're not going to get a really good sample or a good, good results. So we have our 3 grams of manure, and also now we're going to take our syringe, just because I'm handy like that. I always give it a nice stir at the bottom just to get your salt a little bit more dissolved. And you're going to draw up 45 mils of salt solution, close to that as you can. So now, as I said before, if you can only get 1 gram of manure or 2 grams of manure, you want to drop that solution down to 15 mils by 15 mils each gram of manure that you don't have. So say if you have 2 grams of manure, that's all you get, you're going to go down to 30 mils. If you can only get 1 gram of manure, you're going to go down to 15 mils of solution. What that does is it actually gives you the appropriate eggs per gram, because once you put your solution in here, it's a math thing. So it's going to work out to the exact what you need for eggs per gram. So as you can see, I have my, see this here, let me see. So what I do is I start off with just a little bit of my solution. So I have my 3 grams of manure in there. I put a little bit of my solution because if you put it all in, you're actually going to be just chasing the little nublets around, especially if they're small and hard ones. So what you do is you put a little bit in there, and I just take my little spatula knife thing, and I actually put it in here, and I grind it up. Careful, don't open your mouth, because sometimes you get splashed. And you're going to stir it around. So you have a poo slurry. So again, you're trying to break that all up as best you can. And again, I add a little bit more to get the stuff that's on the sides. And then once the manure is all broken down in a nice slurry like that, you want to add the rest of your solution, the rest of your 45 mils. Make sure that's in there. And at the end, I give it a nice big stir. And put it off the side here. Now, this ewe that I have done is 5402, as you can see with my poor writing on the bag. So I'm going to note her in my book, kind of the routine that I do. I'm going to take my McMaster slide, which you can purchase online, and my pipette. And this has proven to be a little bit of a challenge because I don't strain my manure with any, solids like say grain or pieces of grass that get left there. I just kind of basically try to suck it up the best I can. Sorry about my shaky hand. And what I like to do is take my slide and put it off on an angle like this. Start at one corner with my solution, usually it sprays everywhere if it's stuck. There we go. And slide my pipette. I don't know, you guys can't see this very well, but slide my pipette across the chamber. So you're going to fill both chambers. It's going to go everywhere. Didn't get that full, so we'll fill it up. So I'm gonna grab you guys, awkwardly spinning around. So as you can see, I've taken my slide, tilted it on an angle, and actually filled each chamber up. I have a tiny bubble on this one, but that's not going to be an issue. I don't think it's not that big of a bubble, but you want to try to not have any bubbles at all in these chambers. The thing that I forgot to mention, I kind of mentioned it before, is when you're taking your sample off here, you want to give it a good stir, especially if it's been sitting there for a bit. You don't want to suck, say if it's been sitting here for a couple minutes, you don't want to take it right off from the top, because all of those eggs are rising to the top, and you're really going to get not a very good example of how many eggs that she has. You're going to get all the eggs at the very top and in your sample. So now we go over to the other side here. And you need a microscope. So this is my old Bessie. I really like this girl. The only problem with the salt solution is you can see if you don't get it cleaned off right away, it actually can do a little bit of damage to anything metal, especially the platform of this microscope. This microscope is older than I am, I believe, and I really enjoy working with her. So I continue to. So I'm gonna try to awkwardly put this in here with one hand, like that. And you're gonna set the microscope to the 10 power. You're gonna turn it on. And also it's a good idea, I get really distracted really easily. So what I like to do is actually get myself a little counter like this and put it in my hand, because sometimes I lose count very easily. So, excuse me, sorry. So I'm gonna sit down here, make sure my slide is in there appropriately. Take my glasses off, and I'm going to switch my other hand. Bring this up, and I'm going to actually, what I like to do, see if I can focus on this a little bit better. You can see the grid kind of. So what I'm going to do is start at one corner of the grid, on outside corner of the grid. So excuse me while I check with my eyeballs. Oh. And then basically what you're going to do first, sorry about the shaky camera. There she is. What you're going to do is focus on that green line, that's your corner. And then what you're going to do, so I'll put you guys up here. Ooh. Maybe. No, there it is. Ah, beautiful. So that is the grid right there. Then what I'm going to do, the eggs should be in focus on that part where the grid is. So I'm actually going to be able to count my eggs if it's focused on that one line. So get this into focus. There we go. What you're going to do is you're going to go, since it's a grid, sorry, my high-tech stuff here. It's a grid basically like this. So what you're going to do, you're going to start on an outside top corner. You're going to go down, you're going to scroll down. Keep track of any eggs that are in that row, then go up, and then go down, and then go up, and then go down and finish your grid. Then you'll move over to your next grid and do the same thing. So then after you get them all counted, what you're gonna do is actually, you're gonna times by 50. So you can see there was one girl here on June 9th that I did, 1980. She had 141 eggs, so times by 50 is 7,050. So that's going to give you what you need to know for eggs per gram. So it's really a simple process, as I said. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And it actually is a good parasite management tool. It's the parasite management tool for your flock. So it's better to test them this way, see if they do have a parasite load, and if you should treat them, because you should not treat your animals if they do not need treatment. So yeah, so have fun, happy farming, and yeah, stay safe.